They say the worst kind of betrayal doesn't come from people you hate. It comes from the place you thought would keep you safe. In the sleepy, forgotten town of Blackridge, there stood a house that everyone feared. It was a local legend, a ghost story whispered by children and adults alike. No one remembered who built it, but everyone remembered those who entered it because no one ever came out. The Blackridge Manor wasn't just a building, it was a predator, patient and always hungry. One particularly stormy night, for college friends Ethan, Mia, Lucas, and Clara were driving home. They were exhausted after a long road trip, their spirits high but their bodies weary. Suddenly, their GPS sputtered and died. The screen went blank, leaving them stranded on a deserted road shrouded in a thick, disorienting fog. As their car crawled forward, a shape emerged from the mist. A mansion, tall and imposing, its silhouette cutting a jagged line against the stormy sky. A few lights flickered faintly from within, a weak beacon in the raging downpour. Mia, shivering from the cold seeping into the car, was the first to speak. Maybe we should wait there until the rain stops." Her voice was barely a whisper, a mix of hope and dread. Lucas let out a nervous, hollow laugh. "In that place? Seriously? It looks like it eats people for breakfast." Despite his attempt at a joke, his eyes were wide with unease. But the storm wasn't listening. The rain intensified, hammering against the car with a violent fury that made their decision for them. There was no other choice. They made a mad dash for the mansion's front door, the wind tearing at their clothes. As they tumbled inside, soaked and breathless, the massive oak door swung shut behind them. It didn't slam, but closed with a quiet, deliberate click, a sound that felt less like a mechanism and more like a final, irrevocable welcome. The air inside was instantly, unnervingly cold and heavy, thick with the scent of dust and something else, something ancient and unwell. It clung to them, a palpable presence in the suffocating silence. Their eyes adjusted to the gloom, revealing a grand but decaying foyer. The walls were lined with portraits, dozens of them, but each painting depicted a person with a smooth, featureless face. It was profoundly unsettling. And then, from the corner of the vast room, a sound broke the stillness. An old, grand piano began to play a soft, melancholic tune, its keys moving on their own. "Maybe there's someone here," Clara suggested, her voice trembling as she clutched Lucas's arm. But the music seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once, an ethereal melody with no discernible source. Drawn by a strange curiosity, they moved deeper into the house. On a small, dust-covered table, they found a guest book bound in cracking leather. Ethan, ever the leader, reached out and opened it. The first page was not blank. In elegant, looping script, it read, "Welcome home, Ethan." He froze, his blood turning to ice. "What the hell?" he breathed, his voice tight with shock. "How does it know my name?" Mia tried to force a laugh, to dismiss it as a prank, a bizarre coincidence. But as she spoke, the ink on the page began to run, bleeding and shifting before their eyes. The letters rearranged themselves, slowly forming new words. "We've been waiting for you." Asterisk. A sudden, violent flicker of the lights plunged them into near darkness. When the lights steadied, they turned to the front door, their one hope of escape. It was gone. In its place stood a solid, seamless wall, as if a door had never been there at all. Panic erupted. Lucas, frantic, scrambled to a large window, only to find it sealed shut, inexplicably bricked over from the outside. They were trapped. The house was alive, shifting its very architecture, breathing around them, watching them with 1,000 unseen eyes. Suddenly, a sickening creak echoed from beneath Clara's feet. She let out a sharp cry as the floorboards gave way, and she plummeted into the darkness below. Ethan and Mia rushed to the gaping hole, shouting her name. For a moment, there was only silence. Then, her voice drifted up, a faint, terrified whisper. "Don't come down here, please. It's already too late." And then, nothing. Her voice was gone, her desperate plea cut short by a sound they couldn't identify, but would never forget. Devastated and terrified, they saw a staircase leading down into the blackness where Clara had fallen. Lucas, fueled by a desperate, reckless courage, ignored Ethan's warnings. "I have to find her," he yelled, and charged down the steps into the suffocating dark. Moments later, the piano began to play again. It was a new tune, slower and more sorrowful than the last. That's when Mia noticed something she hadn't seen before. Carved into the wall beside the piano were the words, *, "Every song needs a soul." *, a horrifying realization dawned on her. The melody, the strange, broken notes woven into the tune, it was Lucas's voice, his agonized cries twisted into a musical score. Mia broke down completely, her sobs racking her body. "We need to get out of here, Ethan." Now, Ethan grabbed her hand, his grip firm. "Stay close to me. Don't let go." They turned to run, to find any other way out, but the hallway before them began to stretch, elongating into an impossible, endless corridor. Every door they threw open led them right back to where they started, the piano room, where the ghostly melody continued its haunting performance. It was then that the house itself spoke. A whisper, soft and intimate, slithered through the air, seeming to come from the very walls. "You came here together. You won't leave together. *. Mia looked at Ethan, her eyes filled with tears and terror, searching for reassurance. But the face that looked back at her was not Ethan's. Not the Ethan she knew. His expression was cold, distant, utterly blank. He leaned in close, and his whisper was the most terrifying sound she had ever heard. "I made a deal," he said, his voice flat. "One stays, so the rest can go." Before Mia could process his words, before she could scream, he shoved her. Hard, she stumbled forward, right toward the piano. The heavy lid slammed shut with a brutal crack, trapping her hand against the keys. She shrieked in agony as the keys began to move beneath her crushed fingers, playing a frantic, terrible new song. And as they did, her voice, her screams became part of the music, another soul added to the house's horrific orchestra. As Mia's final scream faded into the melody, the solid wall where the front door had been dissolved, revealing the entrance once more. It stood wide open, a dark invitation back to the rain-soaked world. Ethan, soaked in sweat and shaking uncontrollably, stumbled out into the night. Freedom. He had done it. He took a few steps, then turned to look back one last time at the house. But the mansion wasn't finished. The same chilling whisper coiled around him, a sound of pure malice and amusement. You lied, Ethan. Only the innocent may leave. The front door slammed shut with the force of a thunderclap. Ethan lunged for it, but it was too late. He vanished, not pulled inside, but absorbed into the very structure of the house. His face, twisted in a silent scream of eternal horror, appeared in one of the blank, faceless portraits on the wall. The next morning, the sun rose over Blackridge. The storm had passed. The mansion stood silent and still, as if it were just an old, empty building. But it wasn't empty. And if you dare to walk by on a quiet night, if you listen closely enough, you can still hear a piano playing a sad, four-part harmony. For voices, for souls, trapped forever in a house that never stops feeding on betrayal, would you dare to step inside? If this story sent chills down your spine, don't forget to like this video. Subscribe to the channel. And ring that notification bell so you never miss another journey into the dark. We have so many more terrifying stories waiting just for you.